Hello and welcome to another Survival Island video, and this again has the narration done after the event because of the issues I had with the Titanfall beta adjusting the sound levels. And as you can see, I've added a much longer delay with more repeaters to this circuit, so the pistons fire off less frequently, giving the cactus a chance to grow. And I've built up all the walls including the middle one, but I haven't put a roof on it yet. And as you can see, we are getting cactuses. So it is quite slow for the cactuses to grow, but we are chopping them off and we are collecting them. So the automatic cactus farm is done. I've also started spreading the dirt out and grass out on the island to make it look a bit better and to give us a more sort of solid look. Now the chickens are still over here, although they are going to be moving to somewhere over here because I think they might be causing the spawner not to work. I'm wondering if they're in the same chunk as this, they count as being animals in this area and therefore things won't spawn up here. But I will sort that out later. Probably in between episodes, because it's literally just going to be chopping that up and moving it out to over here, probably somewhere over the sea to get it out of the way. I'll build a little platform and have an area for the chickens. So the task I decide to move on to next is sorting out the skeleton spawner and building a water trap around it. That's the next challenge we're going to look at, and for this I'm going to have to dig out quite a sizable room. The water trap that I tend to use involves basically putting the trap all the way around the spawner on all four sides, and the room tends to be quite large because of the way I collect the loot underneath. I'll let the water flow into the centre underneath and then collect it from there. So this trap works well around a house. That's when I first came up with it, and I'm going to do it down here, but it is going to mean quite a lot of excavating, and it's going to mean replacing my stairs because they're going to come down effectively into the spawner once I've made this room bigger. And I collect all this cobblestone and this mossy cobblestone. I don't think there's any use for mossy cobblestone other than decoration in vanilla Minecraft. I mean, certain other mods you can use it for various things, but not in vanilla. As you can see, when I dig out this wall, it's going to remove my stairs to the top. I'll give you an idea of how large it's going to be. It's going to be 8 blocks from this spawner to the outside wall. And you have to remember to keep my torch intact. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So it's going to be out to here in that direction, and it's going to be out another 4 blocks this way, and that's simply because of the distance water flows. So the water is going to flow down the back wall and then flow back underneath the floor into the centre, which is going to be under the spawner, and that's where my hopper will be. So I've cut out actually chopping this room out because it was going to be just a lot of boring excavation and burning through pickaxes. So as you can see, it's quite large, and I've had to move the stairs around so that they don't appear in the middle of the spawn room roof. And I've got access down to the strip mine here, which I'll just level off a bit because don't need to be going up and down that much. So there we are. It's nice and easy access. So the idea is that around the outskirts of this room I'm going to have a channel, and I'm going to have two little feeders that flow into the channel. So the first one's going to be this layer, which is going to be 1 block deep, and that's just going to have water flowing to the outside. So this is going to have water flowing, and it's going to come into this row here, which is going to be 3 blocks deep, and this outside row is going to be 1 block deep again, and there's going to be water flowing from this outside wall into the channel as well. So the skeleton's going to be kept away from the wall and pushed into the channel, and I'm going to get pushed into that channel from both sides. It's actually going to be easier to show you it than it is to actually try and describe it. I'm just going to dig up this iron. But the effect is that you end up with a deep channel in the middle in which the skeletons will drown. I'm just going to dig it out on this side so you can see it, and then I will jump to with it cut all the way around, because again it's not going to be very interesting, but you can see how this is going to work. In theory, there's going to be basically just flowing water from both sides into a deep channel, and that should push the skeletons into it and trap them, because we don't have to worry about any other kind of creatures, or at this point I believe we don't have to worry about any kind of creatures. That's the problem with doing the narrations over the top, is that I know that I'm going to have to change this, but I'm going to show you the design process and how it started out, and because the next episode is going to show you some of the changes that I make. But this will work for skeletons, and at this point I'm assuming it's a skeleton spawner, it's only going to have skeletons in it. So it will kill creepers and zombies. Basically it will kill anything that's 1 block wide and 2 blocks high. So I also have to dig out the entire of the underside to make a chamber underneath, and that's where we're going to collect the loot. But this section I'm cutting out now is actually only going to be, the gap's only going to be 1 block high at the bottom. There's going to be another layer of stone in here. I'm just cutting it out so I can get in and out, and that's so the skeletons and the zombies and things can't get underneath. Once they're in the trench they can't get out. But again, I'm not going to show you me digging the whole of this out. I will jump forward and just show you all the work completed. So I've burnt through a lot more pickaxes, and now we have this. So as you can see, the trench now goes all the way around, and underneath we have a room where the water is going to flow, and there will be a block in that wall to stop things getting in and out through there like that. I'll just have to demolish it every time I want to get into this chamber underneath to empty the chest. Then again, if you're still not seeing how this is going to work, then don't worry, because this video is going to show you it finished. But the water should flow from all the sides onto the centre block, and that's where all the loot from this chamber will gather. So now I've just got to do the water, and again I'm just going to do one section so you can see how it's going to work, and then I'll skip forward later on to show you it with all the water in. So this is the first set of water on the back wall. So this will push skeletons from the back into the middle. And if you look underneath, you can see where the water comes to. Here, and I'm going to have to put torches up because my torches on the floor have washed away. I really don't have anything spawning down here at the moment. So this water is going to push all the loot over here. So with this just one wall, it's coming down straight. But when there's water flowing from all sides, of course it's going to flow and then diagonal into the centre. So rather than struggling against the water, I'm going to hack my way out. Originally the door was round that side, which is why I keep going the wrong way. So I will finish this off with a bucket, and then you can catch up with what goes on afterwards. And so here's the water trap almost completed. Now, there are still sections in the corner, but that can't be helped, and it's only one block. Chances of the skeleton making it into the corner aren't great, and if they do make it in there, they're going to wander off eventually, and I've left that block by the door just so I can get in and out easier. So as you can see, the water flows from the outside into the channel, and it flows from the inside into the channel, so it keeps the skeletons held over the channel, and eventually they will sink down and drown, which is a bit weird because you wouldn't have thought a skeleton would need to breathe. So underneath you can see everything flows into this centre square. So if I put a hopper and a chest here, it will capture all the loot from this room. So all I have to do now is block up these holes in this little wall, and we'll put up some extra torches just to be on the safe side. Don't think monsters can spawn in flowing water, but might as well make it as bright as possible down here. And I'll bounce my way out and get out the door. So we'll seal up that room. So there's just a one block high gap underneath which nothing can get through. And now what we've got to do is turn off the torches, and then skeletons will start spawning. And unfortunately the skeletons start spawning a lot faster than I was anticipating. So I haven't even got all the torches out yet, and there's a skeleton there. Fortunately my iron armour is holding up quite well, and I can't get past him because he keeps pushing me away from the door, so I will just beat him up, jump out the door and put that last block of water in. So that's the spawner and water trap for skeletons complete. And as you can see, skeletons are spawning. I was a bit worried it was going to be too bright by this doorway, but I'm going to keep that here for now just so I can see what's going on in there. Eventually I will just block it off because I don't need to go back in there, or at this point I believe I don't need to go back in there. So I will leave that for a while and then come back and we can see the results. So I have blocked the doorway off and I have put a hopper underneath, and if you could hear the game sound here, what you would be hearing is the weird little screechy noise that spiders make. And this is when I realised that because the room's quite large, it's not just skeletons from the spawner that are spawning in there. And my trap can deal with zombies and it can deal with creepers, but what it can't deal with is spiders. And that's simply because I wasn't expecting spiders to spawn in there. But what I think is happening is that because the room is so large, they're spawning in there anyway. And then the spawner spawns things in as well. So let's have a look underneath and see what's happening with the collection. I'm going to have to keep blocking that off because things are still going to be spawning upstairs. So the water's flowing nicely into the centre and the hopper's placed under the centre and the chest next to it. So as you can see, we're dealing with the zombies, creepers and skeletons, but the spiders aren't dying. Now the reason that spider died is because there's a fight going on between a skeleton that tried shooting me when I came in through the door and a spider and a zombie. And the spider died quite quickly. And if you could hear the sound from the game, you would hear the sounds of things starting to drown. But unfortunately, because of the way that the sound levels got screwed up, you can't hear the sounds in the game. So what I'll do in a later video is come down here and refilm some of this stuff so you can hear what's going on. But the loot in the chest is a good indication, and actually you can see a skeleton under there that's just drowned, and then the bones flow down and disappear into the hopper, as do the arrows. So the water trap works fine, it's just going to need some modification to deal with the spiders. As you can see, it's just drowned a creeper. So we should get quite a lot of stuff from here. I'm going to have plenty of arrows, so I'm going to be able to build a bow. And about to happen is another problem, and that's that things get stuck on the chest. Even though it looks like it's over the hopper, it's not going in, and you can see it keeps jumping back to the chest. So I'm going to have to make a little design change there as well. But I think for the first attempt it's remarkably successful. In the next episode we'll make some tweaks to this and do a bit of a redesign so we can cope with spiders and so that we don't lose any items getting stuck on that chest. It's not something we really have to do for the challenges, but I'd like to show you how this thing works properly. But we'll do that next time. Thanks for watching.